Shalom, this is Gamali Allah out of Great Millstone, Atlanta. I want to give all praises to Yahawah, bahasham Yahawashi, bahasham Rakakudash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to all the Akim that are pushing out this truth and sincerity. All right, now this is a quick lesson, and this is based off an article that I found off of blacklistednews.com. And I haven't really read, I kind of skimmed through it. But it's a really good article, and I'm just going to go ahead and touch on to it because it does deal with a lot of prophecies. And, hey, we at the end, man. Pastor Har just did a lesson a few minutes ago centered around, just dealing with prophecy. We are to prophesy, man. That's what should be our focus. Excuse me. And anyway, I get straight into it. It says 7 things that were crazy conspiracy theories until 2020 happened. All right, and I'll go ahead and read it. It says, remember back in the old days of 2019, when anyone who talked about microchip implants, Americans being forced to show travel papers, and re-education camps was thought to be a crazy conspiracy theorist. Yeah, and I'll say this, people, they thought we were crazy. Hey, even as short of a time as last year, all these things were far-fetched. People, you would talk to certain people. I would say, maybe 2-3 years back, you'll talk to certain people about, the microchips and vaccines, and, they won't really pay no attention. You'll say, oh, the dollar is getting ready to collapse. And, a lot of people will, it just won't really, it'll go on one ear and out the other. But now, you talk to people and they're starting to get it. They're starting to understand, and as a matter of fact, they'll tell you certain things. They'll go into it. They might know a little bit more than you on certain subjects. But I mean, we know a lot through the spirit. Of course, we know more when it comes to the Bible, but when it comes to certain aspects, certain people may they may school you on a few things, But anyway, it says, and then 2020 rolled around, and voila, it turns out those conspiracy theories weren't so crazy after all. Yeah, and like I said, I mean, 2-3 years going back, but let's say going back 10 years, and for Pastor Hard, 20-30 years, just imagine how asleep people were. How rare it was to notice, man. Because I remember back in maybe 2010, 2009, 2010, when I first heard about conspiracy theories and inside jobs dealing with the government and Illuminati, things of that nature. It was rare, man, and you would seem crazy. You would sound crazy talking about those things, but hey, now, that's common knowledge. That word Illuminati, that's a household word, So now, that's how we're at the end, is because people are starting to wake up. All right. And it says, and I'm not just talking about the government releasing info about UFOs. We're living in a time when someone will attempt to beat the crap out of you, burn your house down, or even kill you if you voted for the wrong presidential candidate. We're being subject to curfews. Our movement is restricted, and our business has been forcibly shut down. One day, people will look back on this year as the year on this as the year that everything changed, or depending, hey, and that's the spirit, because hey, this is the year of prophecy. The spirit of Yahawashi was on Apostle Tahar to name this the year of prophecy. So this is the year that changed everything. That's the spirit. So matter of fact, we'll start off with this. Because we're in these times. Habakkuk 2, and I'll start at 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. And like I said, this is the time, they just said that this is the year that changed everything. And it's speaking. That's why when you talk to people, they get it. They no longer, calling you crazy and, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Oh, well, that sounds far-fetched, or they used to say, oh, well, it won't happen in our lifetime. But people are running out of reasons of denial. People are running out of probability and doubt. That's going away. They have no more room for no more wiggle room, man. No more, because they used to, give you certain reasons. Oh, well, yada, 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 and yada, yada, yada. But when you can pull up articles and it's all over the news, then you can't deny that, man. It says, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So the point being is that the end is speaking, all right, and it's coming. And going back to the article, 2020 has changed everything, man. Now it is a social norm to wear a mask. You got people that basically they're so used to wearing masks, they feel weird without wearing a mask. That's how normal it is. It's a social norm. I went in the store today, and it's one of the only stores that doesn't require masks. So, I choose not to wear mine. That's just my personal choice, because, I have faith in the Lord, and really, us being in this truth, we really shouldn't be afraid of getting sick of COVID. But anyway, I was one of the only people that didn't have a mask on. Everyone, I mean, everyone had masks on, and the store doesn't even require a mask. I didn't get no one coming up to me and saying, oh, hey, you need to wear one. The store does not require a mask, but you still had everyone wearing one. So that goes to show that people are socially conditioned. It's a social norm now. Okay. But just proving the point that 2020 has changed everything. All right. So anyway, this is probably going to be, it's 7 of these. And I'll try to touch on all of them. Maybe I'll do a part 2, because I didn't intend on this being a long lesson. But anyway, it says, number 1. So this is one of the 7 things that were crazy conspiracies until 2020. Number one is universal basic income. Did you ever think we'd live in a country where government would tell private business owners when they could operate, where workers would be told you can no longer go to work for your own good? Well, welcome to 2020. It says 20 million jobs were lost. 22 million jobs were lost, and 42% of those were recovered by last August when the country began to reopen. Millions of the lost jobs were permanent losses as businesses across the country fold under the weight of the restrictions that either don't allow them to operate or money problems of their former customers. It's clear that the pandemic is doing some fundamental damage to the job market, said Mark Zandi, chief economist for Moody's Analytics. A lot of the jobs aren't coming back anytime soon. The idea that the economy is going to snap back to where it was before the pandemic is clearly not going to happen. And that's why, people are in denial, because you got a lot of people think, oh, when it goes back to normal, when it goes back to normal. Well, it's not. The damage is done, man. There's no, well, let's go to Jeremiah 51:7, because there is no healing America. All right. It's only going to go downhill from here, you know. I started Jeremiah 51:8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. Verse 9. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven. It is lifted up even to the skies. All right, so there is no healing Babylon, man. There's no healing America. It says take balm for her pain. Howl for her. So there is no going back to normal. The damage is done. It's beyond repair. It's taken a hit. The economy has taken hits that there's no way it can bounce back. We're right now, America's in a recession. Really it's a depression. But they're just propping it back up. Listen to this. It says about 60% of businesses that have closed during the coronavirus pandemic will never reopen, and restaurants have suffered the most, according to the new data from Yelp. So we not only have people who became unemployed, but we also have business owners who've lost everything. As we go into the second round of lockdowns across the United States, it is not a stretch of the imagination to think that some of the small businesses that have thus far managed to stay afloat will succumb to the economic effects of these mandates, taking with them even more jobs and plunging even more people into poverty. And that was the whole plan. The plan was really to get rid of a lot of these mom and pop businesses, okay? Private, your local businesses, local stores, because the government restricted, how many people can come in the store. You got to wear masks. You got to, clean. There's cleaning protocols. There's hours that you got to abide by. You can only open, until this particular time, which is silly to me because, it's as if the coronavirus, you had certain stores that changed their hours. Oh, you can't be open past 6 o'clock. And it's silly because, so coronavirus comes out after 6 o'clock. That's when coronavirus. That's when COVID-19 likes to come out the cage. After 6 o'clock, that's it's more at risk. So, but like I said, this is government restrictions, man. This is government regulation. They're tightening up on businesses, and they're you know basically making it harder and harder for businesses to stay afloat and function. Aside and on top of people not having money, on top of people being financially through. But hey, this place is done, man. You're only gonna have and actually, I don't want to go. I don't want to talk too long. But you're only gonna have a handful of. Well, you're only gonna have the major top businesses stay open, such as Amazon. What else? Uber, Google, Apple. These businesses, Walmart, Kroger, your major top businesses, they're going to stay open. You don't got to worry about them closing unless they want to close. But these businesses, these corporations are monopolies. So they basically have taken hold of the market to where they make more money during a pandemic. They're not losing money. Amazon, they're making more money during a pandemic. They ain't worried about, hours and, all that different stuff, because they're they're in a different bracket than these lower level local stores and chains. Anyway, this is Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened. And the grinders ceasing, that's basically talking about the economy, certain stores. It says because they are few. So the economy, there's only going to be a few businesses that are left open. Darkened windows. It says, verse 4, and the doors shall be shut in the streets. Okay, a lot of these businesses, they're gonna be shut. They're gonna have to close their doors. When the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Okay. So the doors are gonna be shut in the streets, and the sound of the grinding is low. So this is exactly what this is talking about. And it says, poverty is a vicious cycle, and one seemingly small thing can suck those who are struggling into a vortex of fees and penalties from which emerging seems impossible. Okay? I've written about my own experiences with poverty here. The concern is that fewer people will recover financially after this round of government mandates, leaving even more Americans broke, hungry, and homeless. But don't worry, the government is here to help, and I mean that in the President Reagan threatening kind of way. They provided a stimulus check, quote unquote, check to everyone in America, gave such a huge unemployment money to people that they made more staying home than they did going to work, and went so much deeper into debt that the number is simply unfathomable. And I want to get this, and I'm not gonna do this whole article. I already know it's gonna be long, so Lord willing, I just do a part 2 or part 3, however long it lasts. I get this. This is Job 20:19. Going into the poor. because Esau is basically he's taking advantage of you poor. Okay, he's tightening up his policies to come up against, to really oppress you. Job 20:19, because he hath oppressed the poor and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away an house which he buildeth not. Okay, and when you read up, it goes into basically Esau's riches being stripped from him. Okay, because you read verse 18, it says, that which he labored for he shall he restore and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. Okay, Esau is gonna vomit them up. You read verse 15. He swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. The Most High shall cast them out of his belly. Okay, so Esau is getting ready to cough up all his riches, and he's doing nothing but oppressing the poor, like we read in verse 20, verse 19. You know, people are already through, and he's just adding insult to injury. So let's see. It's a bad article, man. I like this. It goes into a lot. Listen to this. It says people will be completely dependent on the government and ruling class for every necessity: food, shelter, water, clothing. What better way to assert control than to make compliance necessary for survival? Let's get this. Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Okay? Read that don't even need to be broken down. You will serve your enemies in want of all things. People will completely be dependent on the government for every necessity: food, shelter, water, clothing. And right here it says, thou shalt serve thine enemies in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness. With this second round of lockdowns, how many more jobs will go permanently down the tubes? What are all those people going to do for food, for rent? The government is going to give them money, and we can't even argue really, because everyone knows someone who has lost a job they had for decades, who can't find other work. Now, this is the second thing. It says travel papers. Don't be ridiculous. We'll never have to show our papers to travel freely in the United States. Not until a COVID pandemic with all its subsidiary restrictions occurred. Back in March, days after I warned about the first lockdown, I wrote, for everyone who thought the article about the lockdown of America was hysterical overstatement, and that they could still do whatever they wanted because it wasn't really being enforced. What are you thinking now that travel papers are being handed out? To me, this sounds like the lockdowns I wrote of yesterday were just the first incremental step toward a society that nobody hopes to see. Okay. Now, what does this remind you of? 2nd Ezra 15. Let's see. Here's 2nd Ezra 15. Let me get it. Second Ezra 15 and 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Okay? So this is talking about, restricting. They're going to restrict travel. And you're going to have to have travel papers. And pretty soon you're going to have VAX papers. You know what? So I'll do a part 2, Lord willing, because I didn't intend on this being very long. So I'll just probably do a part 2 or part 3, however long it takes me to get through all these points. And Lord willing, you were edified. Hey, we're going into them times, man. So end off by giving all praises to Yahawashi, bahasham, bahasham, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom.